Hey guys, this is a quick recording just to start out the week with the lesson, the 1.07 lesson that talks about influencing readers and persuading audiences, and I'm Mrs. Cager. The first thing I want to go over with this particular unit is some of the vocabulary that it's really important that you're familiar with in order to understand your task as a reader, but also to understand your task as a writer as we move towards the end of this week. So these words are all strategies that you can use in understanding persuasive writing when you're reading, but also as a writer. So here are the vocabulary words you need to be familiar with. The first one is allusion, and this is a brief reference to a significant cultural, historic, literary, or religious work that is used to make an idea more easily understood. So we see this when an author refers to something that we are familiar with, like maybe it's an old story, or maybe it's something from the Bible, or a historical event that the author refers to in order to help us understand his idea. That's called an allusion. Imagery is figurative or sensory language that an author uses to create a mental picture for the reader. A source is any work that's referenced in the text that contains ideas or information that's found in another document or that's written by another expert or writer. Persuade, we all know what persuade means. This is the act of presenting a position in order to influence the reader's thinking or cause him or her to act in a specific way. Author's purpose is the reason that a particular position is presented to the reader. And finally, direct address is a strategy in which an author explicitly engages with a text audience in order to create a personal bond with the reader. And we're going to look at some examples of a couple of these things. So let's look at this passage. And as I'm reading it, I want you to pay attention and see if you can identify which lines in this passage use direct address. Now remember, direct address is when the author explicitly includes the reader. So here's the passage. The winds of change are howling, and there are storms on the horizon. I have come here tonight to tell you, my brothers and sisters, that our fight will be long and difficult. It will be defined by struggle and strife. You will be tested. You will be challenged. There will be roadblocks along the way and continual resistance from the establishment. It may be tempting to wait and watch what happens, but freedom demands that we continue moving forward. There is no one else that can grant you your freedom. You must take destiny into your own hands. So look at this passage. Which lines use direct address? And we want to select each correct answer. So there's more than one correct answer here. I'm going to give you a hint. Is it A, it will be defined by struggle and strife? Is it B, there are storms on the horizon? Is it C, you must take destiny into your own hands? Or is it D, I have come here tonight to tell you, my brothers and sisters? And then the correct lines here are lines C and D, or answer choices C and D. We see the author using direct address by addressing the reader explicitly, calling them out with that you pronoun. You go do something. I've come here tonight to tell you. This is where the author is directly addressing the reader and calling them out with that you second person pronoun. That's an example of direct address. Okay, same passage, so I'm not going to read it again. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to look over it. But tell me, in this passage, which statement most effectively explains the impact of the direct address on the tone of the passage? So what is it that direct address does for this passage? How does it affect the tone? How does it make us feel? Does it make A, the tone more intimate and personal? Is it B, the speaker sounds more authoritative? Is it C, the tone is more formal? Or D, the speaker appears unemotional and objective. So look at what the question's asking. Which statement most effectively explains the impact of the direct address on the tone of the passage? So by using that you pronoun and calling the reader out, how does that impact the tone of this passage? How does it make it feel? And the correct answer here is A. By involving the reader in the passage, it's almost like the author goes into dialogue with the reader. It makes it seem like it's a more personal and more intimate passage. Okay, this passage says we need to return to the times when people felt connected to their political leaders. Many people today have become disillusioned with government. It is challenging to feel as if we are part of the system and that our voices matter. News outlets continually report stories of politicians suspected of wrongful acts or government agencies misusing funds. National, state, and city leaders no longer stand for important causes and seem entirely disconnected from the people they represent. President Lincoln must be turning in his grave. Which statement here describes how the allusion, remember this is a reference to something well known, how does the allusion advance the author's purpose? How does it contribute to the author's purpose? And we can select each correct answer. Do you think that A, the author wants to associate himself with Lincoln because Lincoln is known for his morality and his professionalism? Does he mention Lincoln, known for his honesty and principles, to support his idea that people need to believe in government again? Does he allude to Lincoln, known for his controversial opinions, to support his belief that the government should be overturned? Or finally, the author chooses to reference Lincoln because Lincoln is recognized as the most popular among political leaders. So how does the author's allusion, he alludes to Abraham Lincoln, how does that advance or help his purpose as an author? And these two statements are correct. By alluding to President Lincoln, the author wants to show that he associates himself with Lincoln because President Lincoln is often known for being a very moral, upright, professional president. He also mentions Lincoln because he's known for his honesty and his principles to support this idea that people need to believe in government again. He's using this as an example of look at when things were good. Look at when we had someone like Lincoln. We can believe in our government again. It can be good again. So why is this so important? Why do we care much about students in English 2 being able to influence their readers and persuade their audiences? Why is this a big deal? Well, you guessed it. You have to write a persuasive essay on your English 2 end of course exam later on this spring. So as part of the writing portion of your STAR EOC, you do have to write a persuasive piece. So it's important, A, that we can read and understand what a persuasive piece looks like, but then secondly, that we can take those same things that we see when we read and put them into our writing to create a persuasive essay. So what now? This week we're going to look at two different letters, the letters to Birmingham Jail from Martin Luther King Jr. This is lesson 1.8 and 1.09. While we're looking at these, you'll identify the persuasive strategies that are used, and then you'll write your own persuasive piece in the 1.10 lesson using these effective persuasive strategies. So for 1.10, you're going to write a letter, a persuasive letter about something that you feel strongly about. So keep that in mind as we're looking at Dr. King's letters to Birmingham. you want to keep in mind, pay attention to what he's doing because you are going to write your own persuasive letter at the end of this week. So here's just a quick wrap up of what this week will look like. Monday, we had no school for Martin Luther King holiday. Tuesday, the 1.07 workshop that talks about influencing readers and persuading audiences. Wednesday and Thursday will be dedicated to the letters from Birmingham Jail. There's a part A and a part B. This is what we really want to focus on this week and look at the persuasive techniques used in this writing. And then finally, on Friday, you will write your own persuasive letter in the 1.10 workshop called Argue for a Cause. Thanks, guys. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, call me, text me. There's a recording available for the 1.10 as well. So hopefully that'll help. Bye. Have a great week.